now, and I'm afraid things have gone south for West. Can Ye justify this behaviour, Nick?
Wow. So this is Kanye West, now called Ye, of course. The Telegraph is dead naming him. Suspended from Twitter by Elon Musk for inciting violence, quote. Now, what he did was post a rather unfortunate post of a swastika inside a Star of David, as you do. So, I don't know if we have I thought we were going to show it then on screen.
Absolutely
probably not going
to.
No, not a great thing to tweet. And he was suspended based on the idea that he was inciting violence. Now, although it's a distasteful thing, I do question how it's inciting violence. That's my question. And I suppose that depends.
It's certainly drawing a very unpleasant connection between Nazism and Judaism, which could be argued that... But surely, if you're going to have... I mean, Musk has said... He's not going to have a complete free-for-all on Twitter. You know, there are going to be some...
Well, here's the problem with Musk's policy. I'm not sure whether this is inciting or not. So he's getting around it by saying it's inciting violence, thus it's covered by the First Amendment, which already makes caveats about fighting words and so on. So if you think it is inciting violence, that's the question, though. But Musk is doing a little bit of a fudge because... He's talked today about how Twitter's going to be good for the 80% in the middle. Yeah. He's going to get rid of the far left and the far right. In practice, it's not actually true because all the far left are still on there, whereas Stefan Molyneux, Milo, Laura Loomer, Alex Jones are all off. So it's actually not an equal playing field. What Musk is doing, in lieu of an actual policy, even though I much prefer him to the previous dictatorship, because it's a relatively benign one, he's actually just going by the seat of his pants.
Doesn't this just show that it's a really difficult job for whoever's going to take over Twitter and try and implement any kind of moderation policies, they're always going to be struggling with this. It's going to be really hard because for every Kanye that you can point at, I mean, I suppose he's thinking he's personally invested a bit because Elon has supported Kanye in the past.
Yeah, they're mates.
So now
they're texting each other about
it's a bit tricky. But, you know, ultimately, this is why I'm sort of the view that Twitter just shouldn't censor at all. And we can just, as users, block all the people that we find objectionable. Would that not be the solution?
You spend all day blocking.
I do.
Is that what
because I find a lot of people objectionable.
He gets a lot of idiots.
You could write another book with all the time you spend blocking, so maybe we need someone to do it for us.
No, I think it has to be the user's experience. But look, I do accept illegal, criminal activity, child pornography, images of violence, terrorism. Yes, of course they have to be. They're already illegal. But really distasteful, unpleasant, offensive things, racist things, I just block those.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Kanye... this was on. He was on Alex Jones's podcast, which obviously we're going to talk about later. So it's not exactly. He's not mixing with the right people, in my opinion, because obviously we're all going to be thinking differently. And also, what he posted was offensive to Jewish people, and I think that's what you've got to look at. It's like Jewish people are going to be offended by this. This is not cool. That is inciting, it's upsetting
and when's he going to win?
Group of people. But also, he is a sick individual. He's not well.
He's not well, right.
He's not well, and I think we have to take that on board. He's on the same par as those who say they've heard voices and killed children, and Jesus has been telling him to do, Muhammad's been telling him to do, Buddha's been telling him to do whatever.
Go on, Nick.
Well, I want to raise something. One, I question the not well thing. He obviously went on Alex Jones and said a slew of insanely offensive things. One thing I thought was interesting, see what you think to this. He went on Alex Jones and said he liked Hitler, which is obviously mad, but InfoWars is a kind of a wacky show. Don't you think it's interesting that Diane Abbott went on BBC One and said that Mao did more good than harm? Isn't that kind of an equally extreme statement on an even more mainstream
platform? I mean, I don't think that in any way justifies Kanye West, but I think what that does do is it suggests that we for some reason, we have overlooked the horrors of Stalinism and Maoism in the past, which are surely on a par with fascism and Nazism.
Well, in death toll alone, Diane Abbott's gone bigger there. And also, as bizarre as it was, he said, well, Hitler's done some good things, whereas Abbott said Mao's done more harm than good. So she went even further. So she's actually far more extreme a figure.
And I think that debate is worth having. But when it comes to Kanye, I just think, will this stop? He's saying these really horrible things, supporting Hitler, or suggesting at least that he liked him and all the rest of it. Now he's tweeting this horrible image of a swastika and Star of David. And this suggests an escalation. Maybe Elon Musk is just thinking, look, where's he going to go next? Because this is just getting out of control.
It could be like acting as a friend and thinking this is some kind of sort of intervention, and maybe a group of Kanye's friends can do that, have an intervention for him.
Well, from one raving lunatic to the next, Alex